The thought of getting so much money to be able to afford all we want is something everyone wants. But when the money comes, we might just have a change of mind. The story unfolds in the Ming Dynasty. At the time, there were many strange people with weird news, and the flourishing period of the Tang Dynasty is well known, but the Ming Dynasty, which was created by Zhu Yuanzhang, was the heyday of the comprehensive national strength. A boy sits in his room playing video games. Then he begins to complain about the game that there are no characters from the Ming family in the game. He then begins to tell himself that if he could travel through time, he would go to the Ming Dynasty and become the emperor, as he would spend more time with beauties and also discuss state affairs with officials during the day. Suddenly, they take the light, and as he wonders why the power was interrupted, the boy is hit by lightning, and he tells himself that after playing games for 78 hours, he is going to die. The boy opens his eyes, and he finds himself in a room that is obviously not his room. Then he also checks his clothes and sees that it is not his clothes as well. A girl tells him that he is awake, as she was already worried because he had slept for so long, but he asks her who she is, and he also asks where he is as he cannot remember anything. The girl tells him that her name is Liu, and she does not understand why he is asking strange questions. Then she shows him a picture of him and tells him that the girls in red light brothel would be happy with him. Liu also asks him if they should give an artist to make copies of the painting as they only have a copy of it. The boy begins to wonder if he is in the Ming Dynasty, and he realizes that he had traveled through time. Then he begins to say that he would become a hero as he has read many history books about the Ming Dynasty. He also says that he would be different, and Liu immediately begins to cry as she thinks that her master is already having a relapse, and she begins to yell that she needs a doctor, and some monks come in and they immediately hold the boy down as he screams at them to leave him alone. Soon the doctor comes in, and as he apologizes for coming late, Liu immediately tells him what has happened, and the doctor tells him that he would heal him of his brain damage. The doctor also tells the boy that he would only stab him 500 times with his needles so as to cure him of his brain damage. But the boy continues to yell at the monks that they should leave him, and he also calls the doctor a quack doctor. The boy opens his eyes and he suddenly sees beautiful women dancing in front of him, and when he asks what is going on, Liu tells him that she knows he likes watching beauties perform while he is in the middle of a treatment. He then tells her that he is suffering and enjoying at the same time. Then Liu suddenly sends the ladies away as her young master has finished his treatment, and the doctor begins to praise himself that he is an amazing doctor, as he has cured the young master with his needles. Liu then explains to her young master that the doctor named Yu is there for him, and as he is the master's only son, she would be punished if anything goes wrong with him. 3 days later, the boy begins to know who he is as he has learned that he is Li Jinglong, the son of Li Wenzhong, who is a renowned general, and his father spoils him because he is the only son and he is also a dandy. The people think he had lost his mind when he said he wanted to make a difference, and he tells himself that he has to be a prodigal son as he would be able to make a difference in the world. Someone knocks on Jinglong's door, and when the person enters, Jinglong sees a lady and she tells him that it is time for him to take his medicine, but he tells her that he is fine as he does not need it. The lady tells him that Dr. Yu prescribed the drugs himself, and she asks him if she should call the doctor, but he immediately takes the medicine and drinks it. As he tells the lady that the medicine tastes good, then she tells him that he should not be impatient. The lady also pulls him closer and places his head on her chest, and he begins to ask her why she did that, as he was not trying to take advantage of her. But she tells him that he is cute, and she asks if he needs her to help him clear away the heat. Jinglong yells at the lady that she should leave him alone, but she begins to get confused as she tells him that he has never refused her, and he asks her the kind of man he was before. Then she begins to explain to him how they were close before, and how he used to call her honey. The lady also tells him that she has heard that he used to be a different person anytime he is ill, and she tells him that she would go and call the doctor, but as she is about to go, Jinglong begs her not to call the evil doctor. The lady immediately jumps on his bed as she removes her clothes. Then Liu suddenly comes in, and when she sees the naked lady, she asks Jinglong who she is, and he tells her that she is the maid that brought him his medicine, and he also instructs Liu to take her away from his room. Jinglong then asks Liu if she knows if she would be sexually continent, and she explains to him that she does not think so, as he is a born playboy, and when he was born, he would not eat unless the maid that served him was pretty. And Liu asks him why he asked her such questions, as she can call the doctor for him if there is any problem, but he tells her that it is just a casual question, and there is no need to call the doctor. Jinglong tells himself that he cannot change so suddenly. Then he asks Liu if she has a dream of what she wants to become in the future, and she tells him that she wants to be a martial hero so that she would be able to save people from the evilest criminals and be respected by people. Jinglong tells her that her dream is big, but he would help her to actualize her dream only if she helps him whenever he needs her. Then she tells him that she would help him, and she immediately asks him if he needs to see a lady, but he tells her not to mention the past. Liu also tells him that he peeped at the daughter of the head of the revenue department when she was having her bath, and he told people she has a huge chest as he gave her a nickname, and he was chased by the Lins, so that is why he has been staying indoors since. She then adds that the Lins cannot wait to harm him, but he tells her that he has made his decision that he would go and ask his father for help. Then a guard comes in to announce to Jinglong that the Lins are coming, but he tells Liu that they cannot hurt him as he is in his home. Liu tells him that the Lins would definitely hurt him, as they have been waiting to get their hands on him. The Lins begins to march towards Jinglong's room, and their leader, who is furious, immediately yells and tells Jinglong to come outside as he wants to teach him a lesson for peeping at his sister. Jinglong stands up and he tells Liu that they should go and check what was going on, but as he opens the door, he sees the way there are broken items everywhere, and he tells Liu that they have indeed come to teach him a lesson. The elder brother of the girl Jinglong peeped at immediately goes to meet him, and he begins to tell him that he would castrate him, and he also give him different options to choose from so that he could teach him a lesson for peeping at his sister. But before Jinglong could say anything, the boy immediately whispers to Jinglong that he respects Jinglong as his role model and he is sorry, but he has to pretend to avenge his sister, as they would not give him money for Pin if he does not fight for his sister. The boy also tells Jinglong that he should hit him lightly so that everything would be over. Then Jinglong hits the boy so hard that he flies away from his front, and the people present begins to gossip that Jinglong took advantage of the sister and also beat up the brother. But Liu continues to cheer Jinglong on, and the boy tells Jinglong that he had heard that he has changed, but he did not believe. Then Jinglong immediately uses his feet to kick the boy away. Later that day, Jinglong entertains the boy, Mr. Lin, and as he tells Jinglong that he had heard people saying he is dying, and he would teach them a lesson, Liu begins to tell Jinglong that he had told her a curse word, but he is a man and he also has a 3-year-old sister. Jinglong becomes surprised as he had thought he was a female, and he sends Liu out of the room. Then Mr. Lin tells Jinglong that he could not believe that he would not let go, but Jinglong stands up. Then he pours his tea on Mr. Lin's head. People begin to hear Lin Fang scream, and they think it is Jinglong getting stabbed again. Meanwhile, it is Fang that is screaming as the tea Jinglong poured on his head was hot. Jinglong then tells Fang that they should get down to business as he wants to make a huge deal with him, but Fang begins to think otherwise. Then Jinglong tells him that it is not what he is thinking about. Fang then reminds him of the previous year when he took him to Honey Brothel, and they had fun. He had called it a big deal, and also the time they went to see new dancing girls. He had also called it a big deal, but Jinglong tells him that the big deal he is talking about is not about that, but it is a deal that would make them heroes who are going to make historical achievements, and their fame would last thousands of years. Fang tells Jinglong that he is being strange, and he has told him that there are many heroes and celebrities, but none of them has been a hero for being desolate. He also reminds Jinglong that he had taken him to a brothel, where he lost his virginity. Then Jinglong begins to apologize, but he tells him that he had opened his eyes, and he is willing to do anything that would please Jinglong. Jinglong immediately slaps Fang and tells him that he is shameless as he is not taking him to any brothel, but he is making a fortune with him. Then Fang becomes excited, and as Jinglong asks him why he is getting excited, he explains to Jinglong that his father always scolded him for spending lavishly, and the money he is given for a month is not enough to eat a meal at the red light brothel. But Jinglong informs him that they would be rich and Fang would be able to eat at the brothel every day. Fang becomes more interested as he asks Jinglong what he must do. Then Jinglong whispers something into his ear. Then he asks him if it is going to work, and Jinglong assures him that it would work. Fang tells Jinglong that he has lied to him many times, and he also lied when he helped him to peep at his sister, so he is finding it hard to trust him. But Jinglong tells himself that people would not forget his ruined reputation. Then he immediately kicks Fang as he tells him that he is sorry. Fang tells him that it is okay, and he should stop hitting him. Then Jinglong tells him that he has to do what he asked him to do, and he also needs to look for money that would be their starting capital. But Fang asks him if he had time to make money for the past few days. Then Jinglong tells him that he has made up his mind, and he should not doubt his determination. Fang also informs Jinglong that his father would make him pay for what he did to his sister, and Jinglong asks if his father would break his leg, but he tells him that his father would not break his leg, but he would do something worse and more brutal than that to him. Jinglong immediately tells Fang that his father must not stop them from making money, and he also asks Fang if he can persuade his father, but Fang tells him that he cannot persuade his father as he wants Jinglong to marry his daughter, but Jinglong tells him that he can marry his sister. Fang suddenly asks Jinglong why he has been naive, as he has forgotten that he is engaged. Then Jinglong becomes shocked. Then Fang immediately apologizes to him for not telling him sooner, but he tells Jinglong that neither his wife nor his own sister is easygoing. Jinglong gets furious and frustrated. Then he kicks Fang again as he tells him to get out of his presence. Then Fang begins to beg him not to hit him again, and Jinglong asks Fang if he is really on his side. But Fang tells him that he is on his side, and Jinglong tells him to go and persuade his father and his sister if he is truly on his side. But Fang tells him that he really cannot persuade them. Jinglong kicks Fang into the streets, and as people see him, they begin to say that Jinglong has crippled Fang. Then as they take Fang away, he winks at Jinglong and tells himself that he would stick to their plan. Soon Liu comes to meet Jinglong, and he tells him that he is amazing as he has defeated Lin Fang, but Jinglong asks him if he knows anything about his engagement. Liu tells Jinglong that his wife-to-be is Fang Shishi, the daughter of Fang Xiaoru, who is a teacher. Then he explains that Shishi is said to have talent. Then some men in Jinglong asks him if he has met Shishi, but Liu tells him that they have met before, but she beats him up during their first meeting, and everyone in the city knows. Jinglong becomes angry and he tells Liu that he does not want to be known as the man who gets beaten up by his wife. Then he also wonders why Shishi would behave like that as a fair maiden that she is, and he tells Liu that he does not want to marry Shishi, but Liu tells him that he has to marry her because her father is the head in literature. Jinglong begins to wonder as the name of Shishi's father begins to ring a bell in his head, and he remembers him as the imperial scholar who supported Janwen Emperor to remove power from the kings of Ming, and after ascending the throne, Zhu Di killed his entire clan. Jinglong then tells Liu that Fang Xiaoru would die miserably, so he does not want to marry his daughter, and he also tells Liu that he wants to call off the engagement. Liu tells him that he cannot call off the engagement as the matchmaker is the son of the crown prince and also the emperor's favorite grandson, Zhu Yunwen. Then Jinglong also remembers that in the book he read, Zhu Yunwen would also be killed by Zhu Di. Jinglong then tells Liu that he does not want to be on their side and he would tell his father to call off the engagement for him. But Liu begins to cry that he should not call off the engagement between him and Shishi. A guard announces that Duke Lai is back, and on hearing that, Jinglong begins to run and look for where he is so that he would help him to call off the engagement. Meanwhile, Lai Wenzhong asks some guards about Jinglong's health, and they tell him that he is recovering faster. But they begin to hear Jinglong's voice yelling as he calls his father, but Jinglong begins to think that he is not supposed to be acting that way so that his father would not realize that he is not his son. Wenzhong begins to wonder who he had wronged as he has a son like Jinglong, and he also says that even though Jinglong has bad manners, he does not have to tease the daughter of Minister Lin, but Jinglong begins to wonder if his father would notice that he is not his real son, as he is scared of what would happen to him if he finds out. Wenzhong asks him what he wants as he wants to call off his engagement. Then Jinglong begins to apologize to his father, but unknown to them, some maids place their ears on the door and tries to listen if Wenzhong would beat Jinglong up for all what he has done, but they are shocked as they begins to hear the way Wenzhong begins to beg his son. Then Liu tells them that the Duke would never reprimand his son as he got a child in his old age, so he always spoils him. Jinglong suddenly remembers that Liu had told him that he had never kneeled for his father, but Wenzhong notices this and asks him who he is, but Jinglong immediately yells at his father that he is going to call off the engagement without his father. Then the Duke begins to beg him as he sees that he is indeed his son, but Jinglong becomes shocked as his father kneels before him. The Duke and his son stays in the study, and as Wenzhong begins to advise his son and tells him of the story of how he began to spoil him after his mother had died, Jinglong makes up his mind that the engagement has to be called off, and as he stands up he notices his father stop moving. Then he pours hot tea on his father's head. The Duke then tells Jinglong that he cannot call off the engagement with Shishi as she is beautiful, and would give him a cute grandson, and he also adds that the son of the crown prince has contributed to the engagement, but Jinglong tells his father to call off the engagement or else he would kill himself and be the last of the bloodline. Jinglong immediately begins to whip his father and yells at him to call off the engagement, and his father agrees that he would call it off because his son means a lot to him. Then, as his father is about to leave, a man enters and asks Jinglong why all the servants were outside their door. The person comes in and asks Jinglong if he remembers him as Zhu Yunwen, the crown grandson. The duke tells Jinglong that he should apologize to the imperial son, but Jinglong begins to wonder that Zhu Yunwen was the person he had read about, so he would be rude to him, and he immediately tells him that he cannot apologize to the imperial son as he does not apologize to his father. Then Yunwen tells Wenzong that he should not be so modest as himself and Jinglong are close, but the duke thanks the imperial son for his tolerance as Jinglong is a spoiled child. Yunwen asks Wenzong if Jinglong does not like his arrangement, as he wants to call off the engagement with Fang Shishi. But Wenzong immediately tells him that Jinglong does not mean it like that. Then he yells at Jinglong to apologize, but Jinglong begins to remember how he had read that Zhu Yunwen would ascend the throne, but he would be later killed by his uncle Zhu De, who would disappear after this campaign. Then he tells himself that he must not associate with Yunwen. Immediately, Jinglong yells at Yunwen that he does not like his arrangement. Then Wenzong begins to cry as his son is disrespecting the crown grandson, but Yunwen tells Jinglong that he is being disrespectful, and Jinglong becomes scared, as he had read that Yunwen is gentle and kind. Then Yunwen tells him that he can call off the engagement as he smiles at Jinglong. Yunwen also tells Jinglong that there is a condition to calling off his engagement, and when Jinglong asks what the condition is, Yunwen tells him that his grandfather's birthday is coming up in a few days, and as Jinglong had always had an interesting idea, he wants him to plan something for him. Jinglong begins to think of the perfect birthday gift he can give Yunwen's grandfather, as Yunwen tells him that if he can amuse his grandfather, he would help him to call off his engagement. Then Jinglong tells him not to worry, as he would do it. After Zhu Yunwen had gone, Wenzong immediately hits Jinglong and tells him that Yunwen's grandfather is the emperor named Zhu Yuanzhong, who is also known as cruel and merciless. Then Jinglong tells his father that he only needs to prepare a gift for the emperor, but his father asks him if he knows the emperor so well as he had sentenced an official to death for embezzling $3, and if he presents him with an expensive gift, the emperor would think they are corrupt, and if he also presents him with a cheap gift, Yunwen would not be pleased with it. Jinglong then realizes that he has been entrapped by Yunwen, and he asks his father what they can do, but his father tells him that he has no idea. Then Jinglong suddenly tells his father that he has an idea. Jinglong tells his father that his idea is that they take the beautiful ladies in their house and make them learn a new dance as gift for the emperor. But his father tells him that the emperor is only loyal to his wife Queen Ma, and Wenzong begins to cry as he tells Jinglong that he cannot lose his only son. Jinglong also tells his father that he thinks the emperor would kill them if he gets angry, and the both of them begin to cry as they fall on the ground lamenting that they are dead. In Nanjing City, Liu asks Jinglong if he is going to the brothel, but Jinglong replies him that he is not going as he has to find a proper present, and if he fails to do so, his engagement would not be called off, and he would also be in greater trouble. Then Liu asks if he has any plans, but he immediately hits Liu on the head with his fan. Jinglong and Liu notices as some men gather around a girl, and Liu tells him that they should check, and when they get there, a man tells the girl that if she cannot pay back his money, she should just sell herself to him. But as the man is about to start harassing the girl, Jinglong yells at him to stop. The man then asks Jinglong why he is saving the girl as he is the biggest hooligan. Then he also asks if Jinglong is interested in the girl, but Jinglong makes the man slip and he falls on his face. Jinglong tells them that he wants to be a good person, that is why he is stopping them, but they tells him that the girl is owing their boss, so they are making them pay. Then he tells them that they are not supposed to make her sell herself by force, and immediately he tells Liu to send the dogs to the men. Liu releases the dogs and the men become scared. Then their master tells Jinglong that the girl has to pay, as the officials also pays to him in the street, but Jinglong tells him that he sees that he is rich, but he is not rich than him, as he can buy the whole street. But as Jinglong breaks into laughter, the men begins to wonder if he has gotten mad again. The people begins to yell that they cannot sell their shops to Jinglong as he does not know how to do business, and the girl also takes a knife and tells Jinglong that she would rather kill herself than sell herself to Jinglong, but Jinglong tells her that she has misunderstood him, as he is only trying to help her and not taking advantage of her. As the people continue to say that they cannot sell their shops to Jinglong, he begins to wonder how bad his reputation is, and he immediately tries to defend himself. but they tell him that they know all the girls that have been with him all came to a sticky end. The girl begins to cry, and as the men continue to banter, they hear a voice asking them who the person that committed the crime is. As the crowd turns to see, they see that it is the incarnate of love and wisdom. Kai Luanyu, and Jinglong asks her who she is, then she introduces herself to him. But Liu immediately tells Jinglong that they have to leave as Luanyu is not a woman to be at loggerheads with, and Jinglong immediately pushes Liu away. But instead he slips and he suddenly falls towards Luanyu, and he grabs her chest. Liu immediately yells that she is the daughter of the Minister of Military Department, and everyone becomes shocked. Then Luanyu slaps Jinglong hard, and she tells him that she is going to enforce justice on behalf of God and castrate him. Then Jinglong tries to explain to her that he did not mean to touch her chest. Jinglong also asks her if she is there to uphold justice, then he would not force the people to sell their shops to him. But she yells at him that she is not stupid, as she knows that the people are not willing to sell their shops to him, and if they sell their shops willingly, she would change her name to Lai Luanyu. Immediately, Jinglong tells the people that he wants to discuss business with them, and he tells them that he would buy their shops for 3 times the original price, and they would still run them on their own, as he would not interfere in their business, and even gives them the rent-free for the first year. The people become shocked at the offer Jinglong has given them, and they all begin to yell that they are willing to sell their shops to Jinglong, but Luanyu becomes shocked at this. Then Jinglong tells her that she has lost their deal. The people become enthusiastic, and as Jinglong answers them, they all leave, and he asks Liu about Luanyu, and he tells him that she is running away on her horse, but Jinglong tells Liu to ignore her, and they should go shopping. As they continue walking, Liu tells Jinglong that they should go to the red light brothel and check out the girls, but he notices that Jinglong does not answer, but he begins to check something else instead. Liu asks Jinglong what he is looking at, and Jinglong tells him that it is the porcelain of the Song dynasty. Then Jinglong orders that he wants to buy everything in the shop, but Liu asks him why he wants to buy so many bottles and jars. The other traders see that Jinglong bought a lot of things from his shop, and they all come to him that he should buy what they are selling, and when Jinglong sees that the people would love that he should buy something from them, he leaves the market. When they got home, Jinglong tells Liu that the people were already liking him because he had spent a little amount of money, but Liu tells him that he spent 140,000 yuan, which is too much for him to spend in a day. Jinglong sits with his father, and Wenzong asks his son what he had bought that day, but Liu immediately goes to tell the Duke that Jinglong had bought 2 streets. Then Jinglong begins to wonder if his father would get angry at him for spending too much. Wenzong immediately laughs at Jinglong and tells him that he had made a good deal, as the Roll Streets has been chosen as a full custom business street by the Revenue Department, and the state would give out 200,000 yuan for its renovation, and it would be their business street, as the price of it would increase several times. Jinglong becomes more surprised as his father tells him that he can keep the bottle and jars he bought, as he would even give him the house in the suburbs to store his things. Then Jinglong becomes happy, as he also remembers that his father had said that the price of the street would increase several times. Jinglong begins to cry as he says that it is easy for rich men to make money, but his father grabs him and asks him why he made money instead of wasting money. Then he asks him if he is sick again, but Jinglong tells his father that he would try to waste money. As Jinglong sits in his study to think of a way to waste more money, Fang comes to meet him and tells him of how he heard that he has made money, and he tells Jinglong that he must add him to his plan on making money. Fang also shows Jinglong the little money he could make by lying to his servants, but Jinglong beats him up instead as he asks him of how he intends to make money with the little money he brought. Fang takes Jinglong to a casino and tells him that they can make money from betting, but Jinglong beats Fang up and tells him that he is going to be the future duke, so he would not make money in a casino. Then Fang begins to plead with Jinglong to trust him, and he listens to him. Jinglong follows Fang, and they begin to bet, but Jinglong gives him tips on what to bet on, and as Fang follows Jinglong's opinion, Fang wins the bet. The lady in charge of the casino games tells Jinglong and Fang not to go, as she suspects them of cheating, but Jinglong tells her that he can help them to win more money. Then she tells him to meet their boss. Soon, Jinglong holds a meeting with the owner of the casino, and he asks Jinglong if he is not lying, as he tells them ways they can upgrade their casino to make more money. Then Jinglong tells them that he would donate 20 million yuan as his own contributions to the casino. The owner of the casino immediately signs a contract with Jinglong, and he tells him that he is officially a shareholder in the casino. Then as Jinglong is about to leave, the lady in charge of the games invites Jinglong to come and see the election of the most beautiful girl at the moon house. Jinglong and Fang goes to the moon house to witness the election of the most beautiful girl, but Jinglong is uninterested. Then Fang begins to persuade him that they should drop money as they would be able to spend time with the belle that wins, and after seeing that some of the men are jeering and gossiping that he does not have money, Jinglong donates the total of 40 million yuan on Baijia, who was the girl they met at the casino earlier that day. After donating, Jinglong stands up to leave and Fang tries to tell him to wait as they have to enjoy the winner of the competition, but he does not answer him, and the men begin to say that Jinglong is scared as he thinks Baiji would reject him. Fang begins to yell at the men who talks ill of Jinglong, and Jinglong tells him that they should leave, but as they are going, two ladies walks towards them, and one of the ladies hits Jinglong, but Fang immediately yells at them not to hit his brother. Then Jinglong calms him down. As the ladies leave, Jinglong tells Fang that one of those ladies is his fiancée Fang Shishi, and he immediately tells Lin that they should go back to the election. When they go back there, Jinglong tells Fang that he wants to make Shishi think that he is a bad man so that she would hate him and call off the engagement, but when they get there, the men in the brothel begins to yell at Jinglong that he has disregarded Baiji, but Jinglong immediately goes to Baiji and tells her to name any price she wants as he is ready to be with her for a month. Baiji yells at Jinglong for disregarding her opinion, but he tells her if she would accept $1 million, and after a while, he increases it to $2 million, which makes all the people present surprised as Jinglong is willing to spend $2 million on a call girl. The people begins to yell at Jinglong that Baiji is not a cheap girl to fall for his money. Then Baiji tells Jinglong that she would allow him to spend a month with her if he writes her a poem that would move her, but Jinglong tells her that he is not good with poems, and she also tells all the men present that the competition is open to them as well. On hearing this, the men begin to say that there is only one writer, which is Mr. Xu, and they all hail him for being a good writer as all his works are amazing. Mr. Xu thanks his supporters and he moves forward to say the poem to Baiji, but he could only come up with 2 lines of poem, and when the other men ask him why he only came up with few words, he tells them that Baiji is too beautiful for him to describe her with words, and that is why only few words came to his mind. Then the people begins to clap for him and tells him that his poem would be well known by the end of the day. Jinglong begins to recite his own poem, and it makes everyone present shocked as they did not know that he could write a poem. Then after listening to the poem, Baiji tells Jinglong that his poem is both meaningful and beautiful as she likes how flowery the language is. Jinglong begins to tell himself that even though he doesn't know how to write a poem, he had forgotten that he had read a lot of poems before. Then the other men present immediately rushes to meet Jinglong as they beg him that they want to be his friend, but Mr. Xu begins to cry as he is lost. Baiji stays in a room with Jinglong, and he tells her that he wants to leave. Then she asks him why he does not want to stay with her as he has spent a lot of money on her, but he tells her that he just likes to waste money. Baiji tells Jinglong that she has never met someone like him before and it makes her get attracted to him. Then Fang suddenly enters and he tells them to ignore him and they should continue what they were doing before. Jinglong pounces on Fang and he begins to beat him up. Then the owner of the brothel suddenly comes in and tells them that the imperial agents have come to inspect, and if they see them in the room, they would close down the brothel. They begin to hear the voices of the agents, and they quickly look for a place to hide, and as they hide, Fang begins to tell Jinglong that if they are caught, they would be in trouble as they would be arrested. Soon the imperial agents, headed by Yin Cheng, march in. Then Yin Cheng asks the owner of the brothel and Baiji if they have seen 2 officials' sons in their brothel, but the owner of the brothel tells him that they have not had any influential customers. All the customers that came to watch the election of the belle were ordinary people. Yin Cheng immediately instructed his men to search the room, but when they searched, they found nothing. Binnie asks her boss why they did not see Jinglong and Fang, but when the imperial agents had left, Jinglong and Fang come out, but as they come out, they notice that someone is also under the bed, and when they check, a man suddenly comes out. Jinglong immediately begins to scold Baiji as he tells her that he had thought she was an innocent girl, but Baiji tells him that the man is her brother. Fang immediately yells at them that they are not siblings, but Jinglong shuts him up and tells him to stop embarrassing himself. Then Jinglong asks Baiji if they are from Wo. Jinglong tells them that their camouflage is good, but it lacks few details. Then Baiji tells him that it is because she likes Japanese decorations, but he tells her that it is only the people from Wu that call their country Japan. Jinglong then asks what they are doing in Ming, then the man immediately kneels and tells them that his name is Hiroto Asati, and he was a soldier in Japan, but he escaped due to domestic wars. Then he begs them not to tell anyone about him as he is escaping from his enemies. Fang asks Jinglong if they should let him go as he is a soldier, but Jinglong tells him that he does not have sense. Then as Asati draws out his sword, Yin Chen comes in and Asahi immediately tells him that he is a businessman, and the two men in front of him try to rob him, but Yin Chen ignores him, and he goes to kneel in front of Jinglong. Then he apologizes for disturbing him, as he was not aware that he was having fun. Fang and Asahi become shocked that the Imperial agents are also scared of Jinglong. Then they go outside and sees that one of the agents begins to beat Mr. Chu up for spreading fake news, and Yin Chen comes to meet Jinglong and tells Jim of how his father has helped him to get to his position. Fang tells the agent that they should take Mr. Xu to prison. Then Jinglong tells Bai Jia and Asati that he wants to talk to them alone. Meanwhile, Shishi and her maid are walking home. Then her maid suggests that she tells her father that he should call off her engagement with Jinglong as he is a playboy. But she tells her maid that she does not want to call it off because she really wants to get married soon. Back in the room, Fang asks Jinglong why he did not let the people from Wu go, and he tells him that he is planning to use them to make money. Then Bai Jia and Asati begins to beg Jinglong as they tells him that they did not know he is the son of Duke Lai, and if he spares their lives, they would do anything to serve him, and Jinglong asks them what they can do. Jinglong asks about the Silver Hill and the high sales of porcelain in their country, and they confirm it to him. Then Fang asks him how he knows of everything he was asking about, and Jinglong tells him that he had read many history books and learned of how to make money from it. Fang then holds Jinglong's leg, and he begs him to allow him to follow him to make money, but Jinglong kicks him away and tells him that he should go and persuade his father and sister. Liu comes to announce to Jinglong that the Minister for the Revenue Department, Master Lin Wenhai, is on his way. Then Wenhai opens the door to Jinglong's room, and he sees that Fang is beating up Jinglong. Wenhai tells his son to stop and go home, but as Fang walks past his father whispers to him that he would punish him when they get home. Then Wenhai tells Jinglong that he wants to speak with him alone. After they had left, Jinglong asks Wenhai what he wants to say, and he tells him that he did not know that Duke Lai had such prodigal son, but Jinglong tries to explain to him that he did not want to peep, as it was all a misunderstanding. Then he begs Master Wenhai not to break his leg. Wenhai tells him that he is not going to break his leg as he just came to ask him when he would marry his daughter, but as Wenhai begins to intimidate Jinglong, a shoe falls from the top of the shelf and hits the minister's head. Minister Lin Wenhai looks up and sees Bai Jia and Asahi. Then he begins to call them thieves, and a few minutes later, Liu tells Jinglong that they had all gone, and Jinglong tells him that Minister Wenhai would think of him as a bad person because he had seen Bai Jia and Asahi in his house. Jinglong continues to lament how he has to call off his engagement and also please the crown prince regarding the birthday of his grandfather. Then Liu tells him that the girl he had bought a shop from wants to see him. Jinglong meets the girl, and she asks him for his help as they are selling pickled fish, and she begs him to help them as they have no money because of the high price of salt. Jinglong tells her that he would help her. Then he tells her that instead of them selling pickled fish, they should start running bathhouses as there is no bathhouse in Ming. Then the girl realizes this and tells him that the people would love it. Jinglong teaches the girl how to massage someone, and he gets treated by her in his house. Then Liu comes in running, and he tells Jinglong that there is bad news. Everyone thinks he is gay because he had massaged a guy as he taught the girl named Lanfang. But as Jinglong begins to yell that he would kill whoever had said that, Wenzong comes in, and as he kneels before his son, he tells Jinglong that they are going broke as there is a problem with their business because the revenue department funding is not enough. Jinglong tells his father that he had not been spending too much, but his father tells him that if their business continues, they would not be able to afford meals again, and the only solution to it is if he goes to apologize to Minister Lin for peeping at his daughter, so that they would get adequate funding from the revenue department. Jinglong tells his father that he would not apologize. Then his father begins to cry, and later that day, Jinglong tells himself that he was the one that did something wrong to the Lins, and it is time for him to apologize. At the entrance to the Lin's house, Liu tells his young master that he can do it, but Jinglong becomes tense as he is about to enter the Lin's house. As Jinglong enters the Lin house, he becomes shocked as he sees that the maids are all floating, and he becomes scared. Then they take him to the backyard, and he asks them that as a guest, he should be taken to the guest room or the study. He immediately hears a female voice telling him that he is smart, but as she turns to look he sees that it is Lin Ning-ar, the girl he had peeped at before, and he asks her if she is Miss Bosom. Then Ning-ar instructs her guards to beat him up for calling her the nickname he had given her. Ning-ar also instructs her maid to leave as she wants to discuss with Jinglong alone, and he immediately apologizes to her for calling her that name. Then she tells him that she doesn't like to talk about the incident and the nickname. Jinglong also tells her that he cannot marry her because he is already engaged with Fang Shishi, and Ning-ar tells him that she does not want to talk to him about marriage. She then explains to him that she wants to discuss his business with him. Jinglong asks Ning-ar why she is suddenly interested in his business, and she tells him that she wants to become a shareholder in the street he bought, and she is willing to give him 40 million yuan for the stake of 40% on the street, and he tells her that 40% share is higher than the 40 million yuan. Meanwhile, at the Imperial Palace, Lai Wenzhong tries to help Jinglong to call off the engagement with Master Fang, and he calls Master Fang and tells him that he wants to discuss their children. Then Master Fang also tells him that he also wants to discuss it with him. Wenzhong then tells Master Fang that he feels that they should call off the engagement because his son does not deserve Fang Shishi, but Master Fang tells him that Thu cannot call off the engagement because Shishi has high hopes in Jinglong, and he also wants them to get married as soon as possible. Jinglong tells Ning-ar that he can only accept 60 million yuan at the stake of 20%, and she agrees, but he asks her why she trusts him with her money, and she tells him that she believes he saves more money than he spends. Jinglong appreciates her for the compliments, and he uses the opportunity to seek her opinion on what he should get for the emperor on his birthday, and she tells him to be father, and the other officials get him writing materials or paintings, so she thinks he should get the emperor something unique. Jinglong immediately has an idea. Then he thanks Ning-ar for helping him as he tells her that he is going to prepare a surprise for the emperor. As Jinglong is about to leave the Lin house, he suddenly sees Fang, and Fang asks him why he came to their house, but Jinglong tells Fang that he is useless as he would rather talk to his sister, but Fang immediately tells him that he should be careful of his sister as she is cunning. Fang then explains to Jinglong how Ning-ar had always collected his birthday money from him till he was 13 years old, but Jinglong cheers him up and tells him that he would join him in making money, and they would be the best team. Back in his house, Liu begins to explain to Jinglong that they are already losing money as he lists all the money Jinglong has spent. Then Jinglong tells Liu that he should give him 20 million yuan, and he should also go and call Baiji, so that she would stay in their place for a while. Then Liu tells him that if Baiji is with him, he would spend less. Liu wants to go and call Baiji, but he suddenly bumps into someone, but he sees that it is Duke Lai. Then he begins to wonder where the Duke is rushing to. Jinglong begins to wonder how smart Ning-ar it is, and he tells himself that she would be a good wife, as she knows how to invest, but he is interrupted as his father comes in and tells him that he is feeling ashamed. Jinglong asks his father Duke Lai why he feels ashamed, and he tells Jinglong that he is an influential official in the imperial government. Jinglong pauses and asks him why he is crying, and he tells Jinglong that they cannot break the engagement, and he becomes angry and reminds him that he made a promise. Duke Lai falls to the floor and tells him that he tried, and tells him that Fang Xiaoru is quite a Tartar and Fang Shishi's daughter likes him and wants them to get married early. Jinglong becomes happy on hearing this news. At the Nanjing city, Jinglong begins to walk around the city, and Fang asks him where they are going, and he tells him not to worry as he will see as soon as they get there. Suddenly, Jinglong sees Kai Luan Yu, and Mr. Lai tells him that it's the girl he met when he bought the street. Jinglong tries to greet her, but she tells him that she will never change her surname into his and moves on. Jinglong smiles as she still remembers the bet they made and tells Fang that he will be taking him to a spa. Fang tells him that he does not know what a spa is, but it sounds exciting, and they begin to go to the spa. They arrive at the body care bath center, and Jinglong takes him in to get a bath. Meanwhile, Luan Yu watches him and promises to punish him and let him return all the money. Fang acknowledges how good the bathhouse is and asks Jinglong if that is all they can do. Jinglong takes him out and begins to show them other services and tells him to go get a massage. Jinglong takes him to where he will have a bath, and they continue to relax. While receiving the massage, Fang tells Jinglong that he is enjoying himself, but are there no ladies to come massage them? Luan Yu suddenly comes in, and Fang and Jinglong begins to wonder what she is doing in the bath center. She tells them that she has come to punish Jinglong, seeing he is conducting illegal business. She begins to pursue them, but she stumbles on one of the buckets and falls to the floor, making her hurt her back. Jinglong then tells them that anyone who catches her will be rewarded with 20,000 yuan, and the workers in the center immediately catches her and ties her up. Jinglong begins to think if the lady that helped tie up Luenyu can help run a theme hotel, seeing she is good in aesthetics. She immediately tells Jinglong to let her go or else he is going to regret his actions. His servant quickly reminds him that Luenyu is the daughter of the Minister of the Military Department, and he should let her go. Jinglong quickly reminds her that she lost a bet with him the last time and she should be called Lai Luenyu. She tells him that he runs an illegal business and she has come to punish him by law. Jinglong immediately makes a bet with her, telling her that if she fails she will meet his 3 conditions, and she agrees. Fang immediately reminds her that she has lost a bet to him before, but she ignores him. Later, Luenyu fails the bet and she goes on a swim with Fang and Jinglong. After spending some time with Fang and Jinglong, they then tell her that the bath center is illegitimate business and asks her if she believes him. Luenyu thinks for a while and they begin to wonder what is wrong with her. She immediately replies, telling them that the bathhouse is amazing and she is always uncomfortable bathing in her home and plans to come to the bathhouse to have her bath. Jinglong welcomes her to spend money at his bathhouse, but tells her to talk about their bet first. She asks him what he is talking about, and he tells her that she lost the bet the last time and she has not changed her name together with the 3 requests she promised him. She asks him what he plans to do with her, and Jinglong tells her that she is so rude and informs her that he does not plan anything dirty for her. She does not believe him and tells him that she notices he has been following her and suspects he likes her, and she begins to tell him to see her family first and propose a marriage. Jinglong pauses and asks her what she is thinking, and she asks him when he is going to marry her, making Jinglong tell her not to be ridiculous. They leave the bathhouse and Jinglong begins to wonder what he might have done to make Kai crazy about him, and Fang tells him to teach him how to attract women also. Jialong sees that he is charming, but that is not what he wants. He suddenly notices a group of people coming towards him, and they tell him that the crown grandson has asked them to take Jinglong to him. Jinglong begins to wonder why and decides to follow them. On getting there, he notices a lot of scenery and wonders if the crown grandson plans on going back on his word. He arrives at the palace and greets His Majesty, and the crown grandson asks if he has not forgotten what he ordered him to do, and Jinglong begins to wonder what he is talking about as he cannot pinpoint exactly what he is saying. He tells Jinglong that he hears that he has been busy with his businesses, but he has not said anything about the emperor's birthday gift. He decides not to keep his words, seeing that Jinglong did not keep his. Jinglong immediately assures him that he has not forgotten about the birthday party and he will surprise everyone on the said day. He then tells him that there is something he wants him to know. He tells him that he is not the one who requested to see him, but his father-in-law. Jinglong becomes surprised and becomes quiet as watches the grandfather talk and plan about him marrying his daughter Shishi. Jinglong immediately remembers that his family will all be killed in future and tells himself that he needs to keep himself away from him as he cannot marry his daughter. His father-in-law continues to make plans and ignores the fact that he is a spendthrift and still wants him to marry his daughter, seeing that he is a very good businessman. He concludes on fixing the wedding date and tells Jinglong that his decision is final and moves away. After leaving the castle, Fang and his servant begin to ask for permission to teach Fang Xiao Ru a lesson since he is being very unreasonable, and his servant tells him to inform his father, Duke Lai, about what is happening so as to avoid problems for himself. Jinglong yells at them and suddenly sees a scene and wonders who that is. They tell him that it's the Prince of Yuan, and he becomes surprised on seeing Zhu Di, and Jinglong begins to think of means to get his appreciation so as to use it to its advantage. Later that day at the Moon House, his servant comes back to tell him that the Prince of Yan and his men has not been staying at the mansion, and Fang immediately calls Jinglong and asks him where all the ladies are, seeing they are in a moon house. Jinglong becomes angry and begins to beat him up, stating that he should be more focused on important matters instead of thinking about women. Fang apologizes and tells him that he took after him, making Jinglong to stop beating him, and tells his servant to keep an eye on the Prince of Yan and report to him if something happens. Suddenly, Luenyu barges into the moon house, assuming Jinglong is carrying ladies. Jingling tells her that what he does is none of her business, and she cuts off his top hair, telling him that he makes her unhappy and he should be responsible and marry her. Jinglong immediately asks her why he should marry her since he does not have any feelings for her. His servant immediately reminds him that he touched her breast and continues to run for his life, seeing she was after them. She continues to go after him and tells him that she likes him and he is hers. Jinglong's servant tries to stop Luenyu from hitting his master, but she kicks him away, telling him that he is too weak for her and cannot stop her. She continues to go after Jinglong, but she suddenly hears an order telling her to stop it and not harm Jinglong. She stops and they both notice that it's Zhu Di, the Prince of Yan, and Luanyu drops her sword, which almost hits Jinglong, and goes to bow before the young master. She greets the prince, and Fang and Jinglong begin to wonder how she could kneel for the prince but bully them. Fang accuses her of bullying the weak and respecting the strong. She tells them to keep quiet as Prince Yan has been protecting the borders of Baiping and fighting with the surviving supporters of Yuan, and he is the god of war. The prince tells her not to be rude, and she begins to apologize to him, making Fang think she is capricious. The prince asks how she is, as they have not seen each other for long, and Fang begins to wonder if they are friends and if they are whoring together, but she warns him not to slander the Prince of Yan. Jinglong immediately tells the prince that he has a bathhouse nearby and they should go there and talk. The servants in Luanyu begin to shout at him, telling him that the prince would never follow him to such a place. The prince ignores them and goes to the bathhouse regardless, and notices how relaxing it is. He decides to establish a bathhouse in Baiping so that he can rest there when he is tired, and Jinglong proposes for the prince to invest in his business so that he will get it won for him. The prince promises to think about it and asks him if he is not afraid to get into trouble, since conclusions between businessmen and officials are prohibited. Jinglong immediately apologizes to the prince and tells him that he does not mean what he said. The prince laughs and tells him that he is only joking and has put in 10,000 yuan and is looking forward to what he will bring back. Jinglong thanks him and promises to surprise the prince. Fang immediately mentions that Jinglong spent 20 million yuan when hanging out in a brothel, and the prince is stingy. Jinglong immediately holds his mouth, and the guard begin to throw their weapons at him. The prince immediately tells them to keep their weapons, as Fang has no business with him, only Jinglong. The guards then try to attack him, and he runs to Jinglong for help, but he tells Fang to get away from him and watch his mouth next time. Fang ignores, and Jinglong begins to beat him up, warning him not to touch him. Later that day, Fang complains to Jinglong on being hurt, and he ignores him, telling him that he was warned not to touch him, and continues to seal of his agreement with the prince. He promises the prince that he will have all the gain, and the prince becomes excited and gives him a personal bodyguard named Bo-Tu. Jinglong notices that he cannot do anything, and the prince ignores and tells them to celebrate, and Fang as usual suggests hanging with girls. Jinglong slaps him and tells him that the prince would never do such, but the prince ignores him, and Jinglong did not expect to be steeped in wine and surrounded by women with the future emperor. They continue to party, and the prince thanks Jinglong for his hospitality as he plans to depart and tells him to stop by another day. Jinglong appreciates his gestures and asks him how long he is going to stay. He tells Jinglong that he will be back for His Majesty's birthday, and he will stay for a few days and sees himself out. Jinglong becomes happy as he is already closer to the final winner. The servant begins to talk to the prince regarding Zhongling and tells him that he is not reliable. The prince defends Jinglong and tells him that he will help with him ascending the throne, seeing all the business he has. At the Lai mansion, Jinglong begins to about the present he wants to give the emperor, and suddenly hears his two servants Asadi and Bo-Tu arguing. Asadi tells Jinglong that Bo-Tu is insulting him because he is short. Jinglong tries to correct him, but tells Asadi that Bo-Tu is correct because people from his tribe are short. Asadi becomes sad and asks Jinglong why he said such a thing about him, and Jinglong tells him not to feel hurt as he was just saying the truth. Bo-Tu comes to him and begins to press his head, and Asadi becomes angry and challenges him to a duel. They begin to warn him as he is the warrior of Prince Yan, and he should not attack him. The guard attacks Bo-Tu, and Bo-Tu uses his hands to push him away, and Asahi begins to cry, making Jinglong and Fang laugh at him. Jinglong orders them to stop laughing, but still continues to laugh at Asadi. Bo-Tu tells him that he is his attendant, but Asadi refuses. Bo-Tu suddenly uses his hands to remove the sword away from him, and tells him to heed to his words. Asadi submits to him, and Bo-Tu informs them that the Prince of Yan has ordered him to be the personal bodyguard of Jinglong, and Jinglong notices he has a very dangerous smell. At the moon house, Asadi asks Jinglong if they are going to have fun. Jinglong hits his head and tells them that he had, and tells them that they will not go there for the girls as he has a very important matter to tend to. In the moon house, Jinglong asks for the girls and plans to use them as gift for the emperor. Fang as usual sees them and cannot control himself, but Jinglong slaps him and tells him that he is preparing the girls for the emperor. He plans to use the girls so that His Majesty will be in his favor so that he can have his freedom. Jinglong tells them that he does not want to be committed to any woman, but wants to have different women since he is rich and handsome. Fang warns him that the emperor might not be vigorous enough, and if anything happens to the king, he will be in serious trouble. Jinglong begins to ask what is dangerous about it, and Fang tells him to hand the girls over to him so as to enjoy himself. Jinglong slaps him, and he informs them to begin the presentation he has for the emperor. Jinglong uses a known and catchy song to attract the attention of everyone, and they begin to compliment him for the presentation. The girls finish the presentation, and the manager begins to wonder how her girls no longer look like whores, instead they look more transcendental. At the end of the performance, they begin to applaud him, and Jinglong sees it as a very wonderful present for His Majesty. Suddenly, an assassin comes in, and Beitu uses his hands to catch the sword of the assassin and tells him that he has promised to protect Jinglong, and he will do that. He breaks the sword into two and captures the assassin with his bare hands, and this amazes everyone at how strong he is. Jinglong then asks her who ordered her to kill him, and Fang begins to wonder how he knew she is a woman, and he asks if Fang can see her. Fang becomes surprised and wonders what he is talking about. Jinglong becomes frustrated and slaps him, telling him to look at her bosom, and begins to think of getting a car. Fang comes and asks him if he is thinking of anything interesting, and Jinglong pushes him away, telling him to stay away from him. Asahi begins to beg Jinglong to give him the permission to interrogate the assassin, as his people are good at questioning people. He tells Jinglong that binding her with a rope makes her look attractive, which makes Jinglong throw a stone at him. He tells him to focus on asking her who sent her to kill him. She manages to untie herself and tells them that she wishes to talk to Jinglong alone. They begin to warn him not to listen to her, as she wants to kill him, and he orders them to prepare a carriage for him. He instructs the dancers to continue with the dance and tells Asahi to bring the prisoner. Fang asks about himself, and Jinglong slaps him again and tells him to go home. They become alone, and he asks her who sent her to kill him, and she shows him a symbol which makes him go out and tells Batu to keep an eye on her, and he leaves the room. His servant comes to tell him that they have prepared a carriage for him, but Jinglong ignores him and passes him. The servant becomes worried and tells him that he has never seen his master angry and begins to wonder what is wrong. Jinglong immediately goes out to get a horse and hurries out. Jinglong immediately passes a group of soldiers and proceeds to Mount Zhong, where the original Jinglong kept his illegitimate troops. He proceeds further and sees the terrain of strategic importance and sees it as a good place for business. He ignores his thoughts as he has not seen the troops he came to find and goes back to the soldiers since he can have both women and power. As he proceeds into the city, he notices he is greeted by everyone and how popular he has gotten. He suddenly sees his servant, who comes to tell him that the carriage he asked for is ready. The servant shows him the carriage, which has been decorated with gold all over and with the best white horses available, seeing that his master is very noble. Jinglong becomes surprised and tells his servant that he is very happy with it, seeing it can house so many girls while he travels. Jinglong immediately enters the carriage, and Fang comes telling him not to forget him, and Jinglong agrees for them to come with him. The wagon passes the city and catches the attention of everyone in the city to see him as a spendthrift. Jinglong asks them where they are going, and Fang tells him that Niu and his friends are having a gathering and he would love him to show off his new carriage. Jinglong thinks for a while and finally agrees to it. The servant begs Jinglong to pat his own legs, as he is the one driving the carriage, and Jinglong begins to laugh and asks them if it is a self-driving carriage. They arrive at the location, and Niu Lanshan, who is the son of the governor of the Ying Qianfu, asks his fellow gentleman about what they bought recently. Fuge tells him that he heard he has spent a lot recently, and Goxing tells him that he heard that his family has been lending out money a lot. Fang immediately announces the presence of Jinglong, and they all become surprised and asks him if he brought him to where they are. They begin to talk about Jinglong and how he has spent a lot of money recently, which is more than theirs. Jinglong comes in, and they all become surprised, and they become scared of him. Fang laughs at Jinglong for vomiting and tells him that he was not certain that he would get carsick as his carriage was so fast. Jinglong slaps him and tells him to shut up, and Niu tells them both that he is the boss now. They tell Jinglong that Niu has spent over 20 million yuan this month. He tells them that it is no big deal, as he bought some land in the south region of the Yangtze River, and asks about him. His statement stirs up murmurs from among the people present, and the girls begin to wish they can be a woman from any of the rich families. Nu then asked Jinlong about his health as he heard he was sick and poor. They begin to mock him and tell him that the body is the most important and wonder if he is still able to be a man. Jinlong's disciple tells them to keep quiet as he will not allow them talk to his master anyhow, and Fang tells them that Jinlong has spent 130 million yuan in the month and they can never be compared to him. They tell him to prove it and tells him that it is impossible. Fang and Jinlong's servant begin to break down how Jinlong spent his money in a month, and they begin to laugh at him, stating he spent his money on bathhouses and gambling centers. Nu tells them that he spent 20 million on land and will get back 40 million and asks them what they will get back. They laugh at him and tell him to stay with his girls as times have changed. Fang gets angry and tells them to shut up as Jinlong is doing serious business, and they ask him which business exactly, as the ones mentioned are useless. Jinlong tells them to stop, and they tell him to get out, seeing he does not know how pitiful he is, and warns him to behave himself in front of them from now on. They tells him to kneel before Nu, since they were once old friends and he should feel honored. Nu tells them that Jinlong's father has no real power, and tells him that even his father will flatter them when he sees them. The Prince of Yan immediately arrives, and they begin to bow before him and begin to plan trade business with him in the north, as it is quite easy to make a fortune with Prince Yan with them. Prince Yan is offered a seat, and he is asked what he would like, as there would be singing and dancing for him later. The prince sees Jinlong and goes to greet him, making them all surprised on when he became close to the prince. The prince tells them that they are good friends and they have been planning on doing business together since they were young. The prince asks them if they have any problem with him, and they all deny going to him to join him in his business. Fang comes in and tells them that they are no match for him, and Jinlong tells them that they will only embarrass themselves. Jinlong tells the prince that he is not welcome there and leaves. The prince servant tells him not to go after him, but the prince tells him that drinking wine with him will only make things worse. The prince goes after him and asks him if he needs any help, but he tells the prince that he can handle it. The prince then tells him to let him know if he needs anything and invites him to come with him to see some of his friends and leaves. Fang tells him that the prince really likes him and is very nice to him, and Jinlong never ceases to surprise him. Jinlong tells him to follow him and his life would be better, and the only thing Fang thinks about is the ladies. Jinlong becomes angry and begins to leave him, thinking to himself. On getting back, Bo-Tu informs him that the assassin escaped, and Asadi begins to mock him, making Bo-Tu get angry and tells him that it is only the master that can reproach him and he should step back. Bo-Tu apologizes to him, but Jinlong tells him to stand up and forget it. Bada swears to get her back and takes off his clothes. Jinlong tells him to put on his clothes and tells his servant that he is a nice guy, but he is not smart. A servant rushes him and tells him that he has a great news for Jinlong, and they begin to wonder what it is. They tell him that people from the Fang family are coming to prepare for the wedding. Jinlong becomes surprised and he sees a lady that ordered her servants to measure him for the wedding. She tells him that he needs to start preparing for the wedding and start preparing the materials for the wedding. They begin to measure him and they begin to take him away. They begin to drag him, but his servants begin to protect him. The matchmaker tells them that she is in charge of the wedding ceremony, and suddenly, one of his servants comes in and tells him that there is bad news. Jinlong begins to wonder what it might be, and they inform him that another set of people are coming for his wedding. Suddenly, Kibashi comes in and Jinlong begins to wonder who he is and what he is looking for with him. He tells him that his younger sister wants to marry him, and he notices that Luanyu is his sister, and he tells him that he cannot marry her. Bashi immediately begins to fight with the matchmaker on who will marry Jinlong, and Jinlong begins to panic as he is into a lot of mess. Jinlong begins to panic and tells them that he will not marry any of them and tells his guards to get them out of his residence. Fang comes to meet him and tries to lure Jinlong into marrying his sister, but Jinlong hits his head and tells him not to add to his chaos. His dad comes out and informs him that he can be so intelligent that the ladies are running after him. His father begins to cry and asks him what he would like to do, and he tells his father that he would like to call off the engagement as they are pushing it too far. His father promises to help him, but he slaps him as he failed the last time. His father tells him that they can use the daughter of the Qi family as an excuse not to marry them. He sees it as a good idea and notices his father being so childish in front of him by communicating with Batu. Suddenly, one of his servants comes in and tells him that they have made the exact copy of his bathhouse and begins to wonder how. They tell him that Nu is behind it, and Jinlong decides to give him the fight he wants. Fang goes to spy on them to get information for him, and Jinglong holds his neck and pulls him back, making Fang apologize to him after receiving a slap. Fang tells him that the house is the same as his, but the girls are better, and Jinglong gets angry at him again and kicks him. Fang's elder sister begins to give him an account of how they have been losing money, and a competition is not what they need. Fang begins to praise his sister on how good she is in calculating money, and thinks Jinglong will fall for it. Jinglong begins to plan on what to do and asks his servant to bring out the boxes, making them wonder what it is. They open it and find out it's soap, and Jinglong reduces the price so as to attract more customers. After reducing the cost of the soap, he notices that the customers are not still coming. Fang tells him that he knows the reason, and he informs him that their workers are fine and better, that his and Jinglong plans to add something unique and not do something they have done before. Jinglong comes up with a new idea to lure people to his bathhouse, making Nu to be alerted that his customers are going to Jinglong's bathhouse. Nu begins to wonder what they will do and begins to think about going bankrupt if they do not come up with an idea. The workers, out of anger, begin to go work at the Jinglong's bathhouse and watch beautiful ladies. Fang begins to tell Jinglong how amazing he is as he begins to recount all the business he is into, but Jinglong pushes him away. Fang also asks Jinglong if he can receive dividends, but Jinglong tells him that he can buy stuffs for free there, and Fang begins to thank Jinglong, and he tells him that he is better than his parents, but he suddenly hears a slap on his head, and when he checks he sees that it is his father. Wenhai tells Fang that he made a good choice by being friends with Jinglong, as he is a genius in business, and he turns to Jinglong and asks him when he is going to marry Ningar, his daughter. Jinglong tells Wenhai that he never promised to marry his daughter, and he begins to run away as Wenhai yells at him that he would sue Jinglong to the emperor if he refuses to marry his daughter. As Jinglong runs outside the house, he meets some of his competitors in the bathhouse business. Then they begin to beg him to let them go, but as he refuses them, they tell him that they are going to beat him up, and Jinglong immediately calls out Botu, whose statue is so huge that the men become scared. Batu beats up the men and their bodyguards, but as they complain, Jinglong tells them that he would not let them go scot-free. Then Jinglong sees Ningar, and she tells him that she wants to see him, and he takes her to his casino. But as the workers greet him, she asks him if he also ventured into gambling business. Then he tells her that he has shares in it, and he is also thinking of starting a club where people can meet up to talk. He also explains to Ningar that the casino is the coolest place for them to talk. Then, as Ningar is about to talk, Jinglong interrupts her and tells her that he is not interested in her, as he thinks that is what she wants to say, but she tells him that she wants to invest in all of his business, and she tells him that she would send her accountant to him so that they would discuss the shares. After leaving Jinglong, Ningar and her maid begins to talk about Jinglong, as the maid asks Ningar why she is putting all of her money in his businesses. But Ningar tells her that even though Jinglong is a spendthrift, that he is skilled as a businessman, and that she has a lot of shares in his businesses, he would not have any choice than to marry her. Jinglong begins to go, but he sees an invitation card and wonders who is getting married. Jinglong immediately throws the invitation card away, but as Liu reads it, he tells him that it is not an invite to a wedding, but it is an invitation to attend a gathering hosted by Duke Kezu. Then Liu tells him that Duke Kezu is a great general in the Ming Dynasty. Jinglong immediately remembers that he has read about Duke Kezu before, and he realizes that he read it that Duke Kezu would eventually be the enemy of the Prince of Yan, and he tells Liu that he would not go. On the day of the gathering, Jinglong goes and he sees the people there, but Liu tells him that he does not deserve to be there. Then a man walks up to Jinglong, but Jinglong wonders who the man is, and he later realizes that it is Marcus Mu. Mu begins to talk to Jinglong, then Master Mu sees them and remembers how Muang and Jinglong were raised by Queen Ma's nephews that they are. At the gathering, Master Mu addresses them and tells them that they have to strengthen their bonds than what it was before. General Mu begins to explain to them that the Emperor has been eliminating generals as they are no longer needed in the military affairs of the state, because it is already peaceful, which means there would not be need for more generals. Jinglong then suggests that they should begin to get involved in businesses instead, but General Mu tells him that they cannot ruin the line of generals in the family, and if they give up their military leadership, they would lose everything, and the civil service officials would disdain them more as they are getting more arrogant because of their position. Weizhu then tells them that they should all stay out of trouble, but he says that he is worried about Jinglong as he is the bad one, and can put all of them into trouble. Jinglong tells them that he knows he is a spendthrift, but he spends his own money, and it is not their business, then he immediately rushes out, as he tells them that he is not comfortable with the conversation. But as he leaves, Aang follows him and tells him that he followed him because he did not want to sit there and watch as they say a lot of things about Jinglong. Jinglong teases Aang and tells him to enter his carriage, as he wants to have a chat with him. Then, while in the carriage, Jinglong tells Aang that he would give him a carriage like his own as Aang comments on his carriage. Aang then tells Jinglong that Lin Fang told him about his bathhouse, and he wants to try it out. Then he also tells Jinglong that Huizu had a point in what he was saying, but Liu interrupts them, and informs Jinglong that the driver of the carriage is Karsik again, which means that the carriage is autonomous. But Aang asks what it means. Then Jinglong tells him that he would know what it means for a carriage to be autonomous soon. Aang and Jinglong get to the lighthouse, and as Jinglong invites Aang to come in, he tells him that he cannot stay as he is tired, but Jinglong teases Aang, and he gets angry as they depart. Jinglong sees Liu vomiting and immediately slaps him, as he had warned him to look for the best carriage driver and horses. Then he also tells Liu to get damp springs to the carriage later. As Jinglong is about to go in, he sees his father with a lantern, and he becomes startled and tells his father to stop behaving like a ghost. Then his father tells him that he wants to have a word with him in the study. Wenzhong asks Jinglong if he had gone to the gathering that Huizu had called. Then he explains to Jinglong how he has avoided trouble for himself. He also tells Jinglong how and why he changed his name from Zhu to Lo Wenzhong, but Jinglong becomes shocked at this discovery. Then Wenzhong begins to beg him that he has to continue to be a good-for-nothing spendthrift, so that they would be out of trouble from the emperor. Lai Wenzhong begins to tell Jinglong that he supports him being a spendthrift, as the emperor would think they are corrupt if he is great like him. Suddenly, Liu comes to tell Jinglong that he has made tens of millions of yuan in his last business. Then Wenzhong begins to cry that he remembers how Jinglong's mother had died, and he is proud of himself to have raised a genius like him. Jinglong tells his father that to make money is a good thing, as they would not go broke. Then Wenzhong instructs him that he should stay away from anybody from the military department, and also avoid the girl from Kai. Jinglong tells his father that he has heard his advice, but as his father is about to leave, he reminds him that he has to call of his engagement with Fang Shishi. Then Jinglong steps out to check on his soap business, but a man from the military home comes to him, and he begins to beg him that he should sell soap to him, and he would help him to talk to his sister, but Jinglong kicks him away. Suddenly, a lot of men comes to meet Jinglong, and they beg him to help them as they want to join his soap business, but Jinglong realizes that all of them are from the military department, and he runs away from them as he tells them that he does not want to do any form of business with them. As they escape the men, Liu tells Jinglong that he is already popular as everyone is willing to do business with him, but as he waits, Jinglong suddenly feels that someone is behind him, and before the person could touch him, he holds the person's hand. Then he realizes that it is Fang Shishi. If you like this recap, do let me know in the comments, and obviously leave your likes too. Do not forget to share with your friends and subscribe. Above all, activate your notification bell so you don't miss the next recap when it drops. Until next time, do take care and stay safe.